Thanks. Thanks to Andrew. Thanks also to Ed. Ed Park's not here, actually. He's in New York. But he was a wonderful editor on this piece. And thanks to Gabrielle. I know that every fact I'm about to tell you is absolutely true. Verifiable. So this piece is from a new book I'm working on called Who We Be, The Colorization of America. It's about race and visual culture, and it kind of goes from the 70s all the way up to the Obama election. But the story I wanted to start with is about one of the Bay Area greats. This is the artist Maury Turner. I'm not sure if everybody can see. Yeah. He's got fans from like 15 years old all the way up to 70 years old. I've met folks all through that range. But he was the first syndicated African-American cartoonist in the US. And his strip, We Pals, which he's still doing, it was actually one of the first images, mass images of multiculturalism. It debuted on February 15th, 1965, which was just a few days before Malcolm X was assassinated, and just a few months before the Voting Rights Act was passed, and the Watts riots jumped off. So the piece actually starts with a conversation between Maury and his good friend Bill Keane, who does Family Circus. Many of you know Family Circus. It's sort of the epitome of the sort of white suburban family, but they're really, really good friends. And they have a really great discussion about Obama's victory, which I'm not going to get into. I'm going to make you actually buy the magazine and read it. But it was a really interesting way of illustrating, I think, sort of how Maury's story is about cultural desegregation in the US. So I'm going to begin this reading just by taking you straight into the piece. And I know that not all of you are going to be able to see the cartoons, so I'll actually have to read them. And I hope that it doesn't do too much damage to the wit here. So in the first We Pals strip, what Maury does is he introduces you to three of the principals. There's Randy, who is big afro, smart cardigan, shorts. Oliver, who's clean cut, preppy, a little overweight, wearing huge spectacles, sort of Elvis Costello spectacles. And Turner's alter ego, who's Nipper, who's a really small kid. He's a soul of the strip. He's very unathletic, but he has sort of a gentle trickster wit. So this is the first strip. And if you can, ooh, what happened there? It's my water. Sorry. It's kind of dark, but basically Nipster's over here carrying a Confederate flag, walking around in circles, and Randy and Oliver are staring at him. And Randy says to Oliver, obviously American history is not a required subject of the kindergarten class. In Alabama at this point, civil rights demonstrators were about to march into a month of deadly confrontations with white supremacists and state police. But Turner drew, and he'd always draw Nipper with this Confederate era hat. And it was always sort of covering his eyes so that you could really see his smirk. Now in later strips, Nipper would learn about the Civil War, but he decided to keep the hat. So here he is talking to Wellington, British kid, big Beatles mop top, and he says, and Wellington says, I thought you threw the Confederate cap away, Nipper. And Nipper says, we pardon in the degree that we love. And Wellington says, profound, but what does it mean? The blackface animals are gone. Instead, Turner drew kids, often in mid-run on the way to play, having profound discussions about race and community. Youth, as the Harlem Renaissance brother Elaine Lockett once put it, could speak for itself. Now, the ink on the Civil Rights Act had not yet dried. The Voting Rights Act and the Immigration and Nationality Act were soon to be signed, but We Pals already belonged to a post-segregated future. So here's Oliver introducing the kids to each other. Hi, Peter. This is Peter. He's Mexican-American. George is Oriental. Hi, George. This is Rocky. He's an American Indian. Hi, Rocky. Hi, Peter. This is Randy. He is African-American, Negro, black-colored soul brother. And what are you? Very careful. Among the We Pals cast was a fireball feminist named Connie, who was always ready to fight, and she was the constant tormentor of Oliver, because the only hole in Oliver's sort of Berkeley, politically correct consciousness was, of course, his gender politics. This is Connie here. And Oliver is saying, every answer you have is wrong, boy, are you dumb? Connie's getting ready to hit him. And she says, I shall endeavor to improve myself. And then she tells Sybil, her name is Sybil Wrights, actually. I liked it better when we could have violence in the comic strips. When the neighborhood baseball team needed to come up with a nickname, the boys began arguing, coming up with names that might befit a sequel to the urban gang horror flick, The Warriors. This is Oliver saying, what we need is a team nickname that will give us some dignity and pride. What about the Yellow Dragons? How about the Redskins? Or the Mitzvah Boys? No, I suggest the Black Bombers. Or the Brown Destroyers. Hold it, I think I've got it. The Rainbows. Jesse Jackson might have been taking notes.